Good day. It is, 4th of July is the only American date we say it the British way.
It is. You're
It's
right.
just like, I just realized that a couple days ago. I was just like, it's the day of independence from Britain, but we say the date like we're still
The
British.
day first before the month. Yeah.
Yeah. We do it to rub it in.
Apologies to our British friends.
just like, I heard in China they do the year, the month, and then the day. So like they do the whole thing, backwards.
Backwards from
Anyway,
us. Yeah.
um, American food. We're going to do a bit of um on Monday. I'll come to your place and we're going to do a bit of American food.
Yep.
But today we're going to do a bit of the Americans' food, right? From the Americas. So
A little Southwest.
there you
Well, a
go.
little Midwest take on it too, I think, maybe. So
Just like, well, I mean, the Southwest was what part of Mexico until like very recently. I mean, in the span of time, um, we did have to marinate this. I think this is the first time I've ever cooked skirt steak. I grew up very
really,
vegetarian. I don't know very much
yeah.
about meat, so I expect to learn a lot
Butter.
from you guys. Um, and
We'll try.
if there's any tips you can do to not do it on the grill, I prefer it's
Yeah.
like super, super hot here, and I prefer to not go outside.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I can. You've got cast iron that'll fit your skirt steak
Mhm.
or a grill
Well,
pan.
the skirt steak's pretty big, so
Yeah.
I might have to do half of it because
You might have
when
to
it
let
when
it
it was
hang out
only
the
a
sides.
roll about this big, but once it's really thin and it unrolled and it was like really long. So
Yes.
anyway, you'll teach me.
You might want to cut it in half and
Yeah, you can cut it in half.
yeah.
So um, all right, I will point to all the stuff and you could what made you pick this particular recipe?
So I don't know. It's a favorite. We do this all the time in the summer. Somebody here, Chili got a new grill for his Father's Day slash anniversary slash birthday present.
Yeah.
We celebrate anniversary, Mother's Day, Father's Day, not in that order, then birthday, like all inside of what, 2.5 months. Yeah. So we were kind of fooling around with it on the grill when we first got the grill to see how trying to learn how to use the grill basically. Um, but this is when we do several times in the summer when we're kind of back and forth inside and out grilling or smoking. We've done it at those of you who've seen us before on here or watch our Monday night show know that we cook a lot at our Carbondale Elks Lodge. We've done it down there a couple of times too. So it's kind of a favorite of ours. It it is I don't know. It's a Midwest take on a Tex-Mex Mexican dish. So we're doing that. I'll walk through the marinade process. We're going to do ours on the grill, but I'll talk about a couple of different ways, probably 3 ways you can do it inside, depending on what you have available.
Well, you've got a grill, you've got a flat top, you've got
cast iron under the broiler if you don't have anything else. We've got a zucchini corn side dish that I don't know, a couple summers ago became one of our favorites because it's really easy to pull together and easy to do when it's hot outside and you don't want the oven and the stove on a lot. So, but Chili has got you've got a couple of cocktails to get us started, and then we'll get in going with the meat.
Yeah. So if you guys have seen us on Monday nights, we do start things off with a little cocktail. So we're going to make a margarita 2 different ways. One is just pretty much a straight up margarita. So we're going to use 2 ounces of tequila, and we're just using Terramana. And then an ounce of fresh squeezed, which this is how I fresh squeeze lime juice. It's just easier. So an ounce per cocktail. I've put 4 ounces of tequila, so I'm doing 2 cocktails. And then I forgot to open this.
So it's almost like the same amount of tequila to the lime.
It's half. So tequila is the base. It's the full 2, and then half of that again for lime juice, and then half of that again for agave nectar is
Oh,
what we're
okay.
using.
That's an easy way to remember. So 2, 1, half ounce.
2-1-1. So it's a 2-1-1 recipe. So we go, considering we're doubling the recipe, so we're going 4-2-2. Okay, somebody's making noise in the background back there. Did you rinse that off for me? Yeah. And then gotta shake it. And
I
then
think I've
I don't know
only
if you
done
guys
like
can.
2 cooking shows where I did the drink first. So I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, I always do the drink first. Get you
This is so good.
get you more talkative. And
I'm gonna move things out of the way
That's
because I
fine.
can't see you.
Well, usually on Sundays I don't take my ADHD medicine, so I tend to be a little slower. So alcohol does what do you call it? Get my heart racing because it's a poison.
oh yeah, it is. We're just gonna have to do it this way.
Yeah, just do it that way. Just be careful with the edges. There are what do we call debris? I think seedless is one. There are some non-alcoholic. I'm not gonna say they're totally non-alcoholic spirits out there, probably super low alcohol.
It's usually
Sure.
half of a percent.
Yeah.
So or a quarter.
We've tinkered with those. Got a tequila downstairs that is,
That's not bad.
it works as a mixer. I wouldn't drink it as a tequila necessarily, but it works as a mixer.
And I mean, people say, a 0.5%. It's not completely alcohol free. Well, kombucha has 0.5%. So,
Yeah.
Vinegar. I mean, pretty much anything fermented has almost 0.5% alcohol.
Yeah, a
So,
little bit.
So then also we're gonna make this other cocktail a little spicy. So we've got 3 rings of seedless jalapenos. We're just gonna macerate those in the bottom of a shaker.
I'll add that. That'll wake me up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You said you took
Are they by themselves or do you have salt in there?
Nothing right now.
Okay, nothing.
you took the seeds out, or you take the white part out too, or just the seeds?
I take everything out so it looks just like that.
Oh, okay, yeah, because the white part
It's
is
activating. It's what it's doing.
Is it raining?
It's
spicy
raining.
too. I forget what that's called, but I think I'm just gonna do one because this.
Yeah, that's whatever. But
I
you're
I
really
yes
not gonna be
I made
you're
the
not gonna be
marinade for
eating it.
the meat yesterday, and I didn't wear gloves, and the spice got on my hand, and it was a little spicy.
It's moving fast and we're under umbrellas, so we're okay.
Okay.
Mostly. I mean, I'm gonna get wet, but
You're gonna get a little wet, but you'll be fine.
It's like, what is this? Perfect hurricane weather, hot and rainy.
Yeah.
So. But
yep, gonna get wet. Oh well.
It's okay.
so is this the second drink exactly the same, except you put 3 rounds of jalapeno in it?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's identical except for the
So it'd be like similar
color.
where you muddy some mint or like an herb.
Exactly.
You're just muddying, or I forgot what the word you called when you smash
Muddling. Muddle.
Yeah.
Just like muddy except with an L.
Yeah. So.
Oh, you want to throw some ice in here?
It smells good.
Looks like you got the office manager there.
Yeah.
Right.
She's watching out. Oh, really?
So there we go.
There we go.
Now, me being a weakling, I add a little water to mine because
Oh, you're fine.
so I drink it slower. So, but
That's perfectly fine. And then a little jalapeno wheel for garnish. There's your cocktails.
One.
I really like
That was
the
yours.
That's
the
me. Okay.
jalapeno doesn't really, I don't feel give 'em much taste, but the smell of it
Gets ya.
like
Exactly.
changes the flavor. Like
It's
so.
we have a studio audience today. So delivering a cocktail there. Cheers.
It's,
I'm gonna be a drowned rat
You
by
are.
the end of this.
You are.
oh my
Cheers.
goodness. The camera showing your back, your grill.
Oh,
Just
that's
like-
delicious.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Right. I'm not gonna put my mic on to go out and do this. I'm got corn. If you want to just put them on one of these.
So what are my
Uh,
options? You said I do have ears of corn, but I could do them on the pan or I could open a can of corn. What do you think would be
You
better?
can open a can of corn if it's faster.
Oh yeah.
So a couple of ways to do this: can of corn or frozen corn. Drain the can, so all you have is the kernels. Frozen corn you just use right out of the bag. If you decide you want to grill, a couple of different ways to do this. The way I'm going to do it, I actually par-cooked these in the microwave for about 6 minutes. It gets them cooked through enough that all I have to do is put them on the grill for another 5 or 6. Flip them. Oh, sorry, I took it off thinking I was going outside. So no, I don't want the microphone outside with me. Par-cooked, 6 minutes in the microwave. You can boil them if you want to. Microwave's easy, a little bit faster. Just enough for me to put them on the grill long enough to get a nice char on them and kind of cook them the rest of the way through. So it won't take long to put these on the grill. You can also leave the husk on. If you don't want the black char marks on the corn kernels, leave the husk on. Kind of pull the outer leaves off so you're seeing like the mild green leaves as opposed to the really dark green that's on the outside. Trim the silks off the top so they're kind of a neat little package. And soak them in water for about half an hour to an hour. That way, when you put them on the grill, the corn actually steams inside its
The husks.
thank you. And you won't get that black char mark. So depending on what you prefer, you can do that a couple of ways. I'm gonna let you talk while I run. I'm gonna run.
Yeah, run.
Raindrops. and
Get under the.
grill, and I'm gonna come right back in.
Have you done it on the stovetop?
Yeah, I think we've done it on the stovetop. There she goes. She's
I
a little
grew up
wet, not too bad.
just like I don't think that'll show up on the recording unless she turns the sound on out there.
She has no sound out there right now, just
Yeah.
because.
It's you want to have everything turned off because of the water. But
Well, we've got some umbrellas out there, so she should be okay.
just like so under that.
The supervisor came in all wet, so
It's just like it looks like it's really raining. So
they're not too bad soaked.
yeah, I want to. I don't think I'll have time right now, but I want to test. Just I've boiled the corn on the cob on the stovetop,
Yeah.
but I don't think
He
I've
wants
ever
to know-
like grilled it on the stovetop.
I don't know if you can grill it on the stovetop. You can.
I have like grilled it on a flame. You know,
Yeah.
when you have like where you actually have a flame, a gas stove. I don't think I've ever done it. So let me grab a can of corn.
So we're gonna have to give us a moment. We've got to get a towel on floor behind us. Our dogs ran in and out and in and out, and then decided to shake off. And the floor is a little slick.
Yes, yes, please give her a bone. She's gonna eat the towel if we don't.
All right, I found a can of corn. Mostly I just had cream corn, not whole corn. So
Days of bad weather on a food show.
Yeah,
Tomorrow night we're
It's
just
like-
gonna shift gears.
that's fine. It wasn't supposed to rain, but you know, it is what it is.
No, I have watched the weather report all morning because it did rain first thing this morning.
It did.
Okay, so grilling corn inside, yes. I would par cook it like I did in the microwave and then use a grill pan. You want to switch me to the camera so they can see. So if you've got a grill pan, either griddle size that takes up burners or just a regular pan with a handle that has the grill on it. That way, if you par cook it, you're still going to get a little bit of the dark. It won't char like it does on a grill, but you'll get a little bit of that flavor. If you tried to cook it from completely raw to done, I think it would take too long on the stovetop. So I would par cook it first before you did that, but that's certainly an option. Holy moly.
I've done it where, you on a flame where you're like you're grilling like the jalapenos and the onions just on the flame. You kind of just hold it in the tongs and flip it.
Yeah.
And so I've done that where I soak the corn and then just set it on the flame on the stovetop. But
Oh yeah, that works.
then you're right on a flame.
Yeah. So if you've got a gas stove, then you can do that pretty easily. All right, so we're gonna let that go. I'll go flip it in a minute and get wet again. So let's talk about the meat while the corn is finishing up. Should be able to pull the corn off by the time I get the meat ready to go. So I have my skirt steak in plastic bag. This is how I marinate meat, any kind of meat, just because it's easy. And then I'll put the whole bag inside of a container like this, just in case it were to leak. I don't want that all over my refrigerator.
Right.
But this keeps everything nice and tight, and it kind of forces that marinade into the meat a little bit better than if you just put it in like a marinade dish or something.
Did you blend the cilantro that you don't really see any cilantro on yours? Or
That's his cilantro.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. Jeff's not a cilantro fan. So
me neither.
Really like...
And that was an option.
Yeah, cilantro is an option. And in fact, when I marinate with it, I actually use freeze dried. So it's not quite as heavy on the cilantro flavor. So if you don't like cilantro, don't use it. Replace it with parsley, like Italian flat leaf parsley would also work. You don't need either. What you need is oil and acid and a little bit of salt. Yep. Everything else can come and go.
The seasoning.
The seasoning.
So if you need acid and you want it to go like local, then you could just use an apple cider vinegar or any kind of vinegar to infuse it instead of using the lemon, lime, and orange juice, right?
Yeah, for a marinade, the lemon, lime, and orange juice gives that carne asada flavor profile. So if you're just using like an apple cider vinegar or another, like here, Glacier's End vinegar shrubs are really good in marinades. Then it's going to take on whatever flavor that vinegar and whatever spices you put in it. That's what your meat's going to take on the flavor of. So I'm going to dump this out so you can see everything outside of the plastic.
This only required like 2 tablespoons of orange juice, so I didn't want to buy a whole container, so I just bought an orange.
You just buy it,
yeah, buy an orange.
Yeah, and then you can also just put the fruit in with it.
Yeah.
Came out.
All right, so you can marinate up to
that smells like carne asada.
It does. So does this one. You can put this in marinade up to overnight. If you are high acid, you don't. The amount of acid will determine how long you can marinate meat. So the more acidic your marinade, thank goodness it's operating. The more acidic your marinade is, faster it's going to work itself into the meat. And if anybody has had ceviche is raw fish that has been cooked in acid. There's no
Oh, I
heat.
made the mistake of letting it
to
sit once, and it turned into like basically like a fish dip. It cooks so
Yes,
much it turned
yeah.
like
You can cook it too long. So I let this when I actually did this last night. We let it sit overnight. If you do a higher acid, then you can get away with a handful of hours. That's kind of how it works. So this is actually a pretty big skirt steak, but here you can see the remnants of the garlic and the seasonings. What you use, even for the carne asada, thank you. I'm gonna lay this out. Got it. Thank you. So you can see it or see most of it. It's longer than my tray is. So what we used
Look, mine is really long.
well, I mean, you've got the recipe, but half a cup or so of olive oil. What we ended up with between the lemon, lime, and orange juice, we ended up with a little over 1/4 of a cup of acid into it. That's a pretty good overnight ratio between acid and oil. You don't have to use olive oil. You can use salad oil. That's entirely up to you, but you want something that's a little bit neutral. Let's see what else. I'm reading it. Cilantro if you want, freeze-dried cilantro if you prefer. Sometimes I can't find fresh cilantro around here, which is weird, I think. Flat leaf parsley if you don't like cilantro also works. Garlic. The recipe says 5 garlic cloves. Do it to your taste. If you really love garlic, use 6 or 7. There's no right or wrong there. And then cumin, paprika, chili powder, or a carne asada seasoning. So we make this a lot. So I actually just have a carne asada seasoning that I use. And then on top of that, I have a couple of different varieties of a cilantro lime or chili lime seasoning. One of them's local here to Pink Tiger Farms, or you probably are familiar with that one. Thank you. So we use this one a lot too. But you're just really kind of wanting those Tex-Mex Mexican flavors in this.
Yeah, and I mean it absorbed almost all the moisture is gone.
Yeah.
Considering how much oil and acid was put in. It's almost all got absorbed.
I want to talk about the grain. Well, no, I need to flip corn.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. So
we're gonna cut it against the grain.
On this, yeah, the grain goes like this. And then when you get done cooking it, you're gonna want to go kind of against the grain or kind of
on an angle.
Yeah. You do want to go either at an angle or completely against the grain.
Got it.
That way it makes it more tender. But the grain on a skirt steak just goes up and down. So you want to go against the grain, but against the grain doesn't have to mean completely 100%. It can be kind of cross-hatched it.
Do you know what part of the animal this is? It's like I should have looked it up.
Like next to each other.
Yeah, it's under the stomach-ish area, like below the ribs, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, when I first got it, I thought, oh, this is just hooked to the ribs, but I was just like, because it's really thin.
It's
like just like the perfect thickness for how I like steak. I don't like it really thick, so.
I can't hear him over
what did you say, Char?
Oh, I just like it's not very thick. I like it. That's how I like steak is about.
Yeah.
It's not like a super thick steak. It's
exactly. So it's going to cook. You can't find a skirt steak. Sometimes you can't.
Flank steak is the other one that will work.
Flank steak, and there's another one.
I don't know.
Oh. I can't remember what the name of the other one is.
I mean, I've seen some chef get like cut like regular steak super thin like
Hanger would work, yeah. Flat iron would work. So the skirt steak's what you want. If you can't find it, what you're looking for is very thin. And I've lost my tongs again. Those of you who are not cooking along, you can see how thin this is.
Yeah.
How's your?
Oh yeah, I mean, this was like a roll. I don't know about. I mean, not too big. I mean, but once I unrolled it, that's only half of it.
Mhm.
Here's the other
Oh
half.
yeah, yours is a really long one.
Yeah.
Yep. This was.
That are really like,
I
this
bought
is
it at
really
the-
wide compared to what I usually see. Sometimes they're about this wide and really long.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll get 2 in a pack also, depending on, how big they are. So,
How much weight you buy.
exactly. All of this fat you want to leave. Don't start trimming that off because that's going to actually char on the grill and provide additional flavor. This one, Jeff was talking about the grain of the steak. You can actually see it better on the other side. So I'm going to flip this over.
Okay.
And the grain of the steak on this one, this is kind of weird for a skirt, is going almost straight across. So you want to check that and look at that before you start grilling. So you put it in your memory, this is going straight across. Because when we go to cut it, we're going to cut against that grain, which we'll have to cut this in half to make this work like it's supposed to. Because that cutting against the grain allows it to kind of fall apart and it's
More tender.
Yeah, more tender chew. If you cut it this way, it's going to be very tough.
Okay.
No matter how long you marinated it.
That's a good tip. Because it's so thin though, it cooks really quick, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm going to let me go pull the corn. Or do you want to pull the corn since it's not raining?
Sure.
I can keep talking.
You want me to pull it with this?
Julie's gonna go pull the corn. As you can cook this inside the top.
Take a picture. I got a little chanterelles I'm gonna add later. So all right. What temperature do you think I should do it on the stovetop? But yeah, I don't know if the recording you can see that they went up, got another camera for the grill outside. I think it only shows the cameras of the ones that have the sound.
Put that on there.
No,
Can you hear me?
we can see the outside ones.
No, but I mean the recording doesn't show it, I don't think. It only
Oh.
shows the sound.
So it might.
What temperature do you think I should cook this meat on the stovetop?
You need to be as high as it can go.
Oh, well,
So put it on high heat. Yeah. Do you have a gas stove?
no, I have an induction, so it's 1 through
Okay.
10, so, or temperature, so
So I would go somewhere around the 8 mark.
because yeah, 10. Let's see, what's the temperature? 10 is it's it's
What are
460.
we cooking at outside?
Probably
500.
390.
Is how much?
What do you think about 390?
We've got the grill set to 500.
Oh, well then, this goes up to
Yeah.
460, so.
Okay.
There you go.
I would take it to 460. Because the hotter it is, the faster it's going to sear that fat and the faster it will cook. So we're looking for a hot, fast cook here. So stovetop, you can use a grill pan like this. You can use cast iron. And if you have to cut your steak in half, that's okay. And if you cut it in half, just cut it in half. Don't worry about the grain part.
Yeah.
You want your cast iron evenly heated. So make sure it kind of fits the burner on your stove. Otherwise, preheat it in the oven and then put it on the stove. That way you've got an even heat around the cast iron. That cast iron is going to be really hot. And the handle will get really hot.
You going out with that?
Going out with this.
Right.
I'm going to try to switch microphones.
Go for it.
which means I have to unmute the other one outside because I muted it
Yeah.
all.
Well, I can try to come out there. There you go.
All right, so I'm hoping I switched microphones. We have one hooked to the phone. So I'm hoping that you guys can hear me.
Yeah.
For you on the phone. So Chili's gonna go inside and make sure. So, so this is actually a pellet grill. If you're, okay, thank you. If you're using charcoal, you just want to make sure it's up to somewhere around 500. If you've got a gas grill, you should be okay at 500. Most gas grills will go to at least that. This guy actually goes to 1,000. I will probably never have it that high because that actually scares me a little bit. But it's nice to know it will go that high, I guess. I don't know. Zombie apocalypse, I might need it. So we're just going to slide this right on. I don't know if you can hear that sizzle or not.
They cannot.
I'm going to close the lid, but I'm going to kind of babysit this a little bit because I don't want any flare-ups on the grill. So
Yeah,
don't
because it's so thin. I want to
because
let
it's
it sit.
if it takes 10 minutes, I'd be surprised. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go back inside for a minute. Switch microphones again so you can hear me inside, and then we'll check on it in a couple of minutes. Trying to keep the dogs from coming
And me being easily distracted, I would set an alarm to know to go back out there. Otherwise, I forget.
All
And
right.
so I don't know. I have
You're
a hard
helping us
time
out?
baking because I forget. If it's on the stovetop, I'm just like focused. But I can actually set a timer here. You said 10 minutes. Let me do 7.
That, so I hope I don't pick up.
So Nikki, I
Let me know
have
if you hear an echo.
a quick question. What did you have the grill set on for the corn versus the skirt steak?
The
Same
same.
500.
Okay.
So you're just
And
working on charring everything, high temperature, quick.
Yeah.
You,
so there's the corn.
and that's part of the reason why you said you pre-cook the corn so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so this one charred the most, and I've got a little on the edge. That's not going to bother me. We can cut that off if you don't want it. So it charred. I just turned it a couple of times. So it has a nice char on it. So you get those bits in what we're making. But it's not horrible. The other thing is almost still too hot to touch. I'm letting this cool before we get too far. The silks just kind of burn up. So you can pull those off and get rid of them once that's cool enough to touch. Which is a good thing because that's what gets stuck in your teeth, right?
That's right.
All right.
All right, so next we're going to get started on our zucchini and corn. So everything came from farmer's market. This is a really good summertime. Here in the Midwest, these are the things that we have available fresh from the farm in the summer. So corn, zucchini, peppers, onions, all of that. So we're going to get our peppers and onions in our hot olive oil. And Chili's going to babysit after we do that so we can check on the meat.
You need me to flip that?
You can go check on it.
Yeah, it's only been 2 minutes.
Yes.
Guess I need to cut up some onions and some zucchini, put in the oil.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with the onion. I had already peeled this away, although I think I'm going to take another layer off because of this blemish right here. Easiest way to cut an onion. Top it, don't tail it. Leave the root on. Cut it in half. That root's going to keep everything together as you're slicing and dicing. This one looks okay, so I'm going to leave that. We're going to dice decent sized pieces. You don't want teeny tiny fine dice here. You want, bite-sized chunks. So we'll put the tip of the knife down here close to that root end and just kind of start cutting like we're cutting wedges, but we're not cutting all the way through. nature kind of does this layering for us already. So when you cut through, you get these nice dices. And that will go in
The pool.
All right, and then this one I'm going to take off this outer layer because this right here is too much to cut out. So I'm going to lose the layer. Already smells good. So we do the same thing again. So wide wedges. Wash your fingers. And then decent size dice here. And don't worry about wasting that little piece there. If you have freezer space and you do a lot of vegetable soups or something like that, throw that in a bag in the freezer and start collecting vegetable ends.
You know how often I say
That
that?
really good.
I was like, don't throw that away. Save that for vegetable broth.
Yeah.
None of that $5 quart of vegetable broth when you got when it's literally all scraps.
It really is. So you can easily do that yourself. They'll keep in the freezer 6 months easy. So he's gonna go check the steak. I'm gonna keep cutting vegetables.
Or we
I don't
just
know if he took the mic out or not. I don't think he did.
Check your steak, or
good point. I got the timer.
All right, so I'm chopping the end of the jalapeno that he used in the cocktails. If you have sensitive hands or eyeballs, use a glove. These aren't quite as spicy as they are sometimes. How's it looking?
Or if you forget that you're not supposed to touch your eyes, use gloves. Just like I don't think I have sensitive eyes, just sometimes I forget.
If you use bare hands on hot peppers, don't go any hotter than a jalapeno because it really will start to burn. If you're processing a lot of these guys, wear double layers of gloves because it will eventually seep through the gloves or change your gloves.
Really?
I learned that the hard way one time. If you leave the seeds and the white in, it will be hotter. If you take it out, it will be less hot.
One little trick I like is you want to just, take the seeds out, you get a spoon and you just scrape it.
Yep.
I can smell that outside. How's it going?
There you go.
Going good.
Now you can make a jalapeno boat.
It's that quite a few minutes. But it was time to flip.
Timer thing.
I'm just rough dicing these because I'm really not wanting to touch them too awful much here. And they'll cook down. When they cook, they'll be mild, more mild than they are when they're. Right, I'm gonna wash my hands. So
That's what the pool looks like. All right. She's washing her hands, Jen.
Yeah, on Monday nights, that means our audience takes a break.
Did she put the jalapenos in the stir fry already?
I did,
Yes.
yeah.
See, they're already in there.
Not gonna. That might be too much pepper, so let's save that one. So Jeff doesn't like. Sorry, I keep calling you Jeff. He doesn't like tomatoes, so I'm actually not going to put the tomatoes in our version of this dish. But please do if you like tomatoes. So instead, to get the color, I'm using a red pepper. And again, decent size bites. I didn't explain how to cut the pepper as I did it, but I always kind of down and around the core. I don't have to trying to pull the core out. If you still have some of this white vein pithy stuff, just slice it out. Sweet onions that are not bellies also. It's
Probably only got a couple more minutes.
As soon as I get these in the pan, I'm gonna go check that steak here. And we're kind of chopping, you know, we want nice size pieces here, so we have a bite on them.
So if you were using tomato, you would have tomato in addition to the pepper?
Yeah, I would. You don't
And
have
how-
to, but
How much
it kind
tomato?
of fills out the.
How much tomato?
I would do like one medium sized tomato. Or maybe like if you had cherry tomatoes, a cup of them whole, and then quarter would be okay. I add some more oil to this. I need fat in there. Thank you. All right, we're gonna let that go. I'm gonna rinse my hands off real
Part of
fast.
it is you're cooking to color. Add some color.
Oh, this smells really good. All right, we're gonna check it and I'll run back in and see if I need to grab the.
I guess if you wanted to do color, you could add some yellow squash to it. I mean, you
I'm gonna lift this up so you can see it.
would give a color.
Okay, I can tell without temping it that we're done, but I'm gonna temp it. And I know you guys can't see in here real well, but on the thicker end is where you want to temp. Get a really good, like quick read, instant read thermometer. And on here, we're looking for somewhere around the, no, we're just at 150, I might let it go a little bit longer. Whew, hot. Yeah, I'll let it go just a little bit longer. You want to get to that 160, 165. So we're gonna let it go just a couple more minutes. I'll be back out in a minute. At least the rain cooled it down a little bit. Okay, so.
Here, I'll do that.
Thank you. Where's the camera? On us?
It's on you now, on your dice job.
All right, I'm dicing up the very tail end of that pepper. And I'm gonna do the zucchini and then we'll do the corn last because it's already cooked. Doesn't need to cook anymore in the pan. All the spices have my nose running, which is also kind of a Monday night show on our show. So Or said this earlier, we're doing kind of back-to-back shows. He'll be here on tomorrow night for our show. And we're doing global food all year on Monday nights, but we decided since it's July, we're doing an all-American month. So tomorrow night is kind of classic hamburgers. And we're going to do a teriyaki pork burger with grilled pineapple. So if you want to hang out with us again tomorrow night.
Grilled fruit. I don't know what it is, but I love grilled fruit.
Yeah.
I'll even do apples, just apples and peaches, just cut them in half and then.
Oh yeah. I grilled fruit in general. So I topped and tailed with the zucchini, just take the very edges off, slice it in half, quartered it, and then we're gonna have some nice big chunks. Now, I don't like really cooked down zucchini. So we're gonna kind of set this until our onions and peppers are cooked for quite a bit.
They're done.
Okay. Because I still want some bite to this. I wanted to like a little crunchy, but not raw crunchy. Otherwise, I think it just gets too mushy in the dish.
And then once you get those two done, you're gonna want to go check your temps again.
Yep. Okay, so Chili said the onions are done. So we'll go ahead and put this in. By the time we get everything else ready, it'll be good to go with the corn.
I wouldn't even do that. I'd go temp.
I'm going to. But it has to rest. So any kind of meat you put on the grill, you want it to rest after it comes off the grill. So all of the juice, marinade, whatever you've done to it, kind of redistributes itself into the meat. Otherwise, you're going to have dry meat.
How long do you do that?
So we'll let it rest a few minutes, 5-10 minutes on something like that.
Oh, okay. I also read that you want to have the meat, out of the fridge for a little bit. So it's before you start cooking it. So it's
Actually,
it's
a
less
great
chewy
tip.
that way.
If you let your meat or any kind of red meat, that's really important. Let it come up to room temperature. That way, out of the fridge. And then you don't run this getting the outside overdone while the inside is underdone. So that's a really good tip. So throw this off and then we're gonna put it in the oven. Just to hold it, not to do anything. The oven's not on. We have dogs, so we don't tend to leave red meat hanging around long. Otherwise it might disappear. So there it is off the grill. What did it hit on the internal?
170 at parts,
Okay.
160 at the
Okay, the
thickest.
thickest. Okay.
Yeah.
So 160 at the thickest, and then that very tip, that narrow part.
Well, this
is
was
what hit the
170,
170, yeah.
175, yeah.
So mine in the pan, I took it off the pan and set it on a plate. Look at how much moisture
Juice
came
it,
out of
yep.
it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Just sitting,
Oh yeah.
Now, if you want, it makes your vegetable dish not vegetarian at this point, but you can throw those juices in with your vegetables.
All right, there it goes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I like to not waste anything. So.
Come back. Turn the grill off.
Mhm.
Okay. Get your phone.
Nope.
Okay.
Oh.
Once you get your phone.
It's still out there. See?
It comes the
We
rain
didn't put
in
any
again.
garlic in the vegetables, did we?
I haven't done any of that yet. Garlic cloves, even what we here called garlic, like already minced in a jar, garlic is fine too. I also have a smoked garlic powder from Pink Tiger Farm that I love.
Ooh. I need to get some of that.
There we go.
Like garlic powder, I tend to not use anything except roasted garlic powder. I don't know what it is at this point. I'm just like, that's the only garlic powder I'll use.
Yeah. So here's two things that I'll put in it. There's a chipotle powder and a smoked garlic, pecan smoked garlic. This is
Show
local.
them that again. You did that without me
Oh,
knowing.
sorry.
It didn't tell me what was going on.
This is a nice company. They grow their own peppers, garlic, and ginger, and make these wonderful spices. And they don't use anti-caking agents, so it's just pure. So we're going to use both of those. This is also another local to JFX. This is a taco seasoning that they do. They've got 5 staple seasonings, so that's going to go in this as well. If you have something like this or have other taco seasoning, that's perfect too. I also have a hatch chili. I have all sorts of stuff, you guys. This is crazy. Hatch chili seasoning. We use this in chili in the winter, sometimes in the summer. We eat chili in the summer too. And other kind of Midwest Tex-Mex kinds of applications there. So now seasoning for me is not measured. I don't measure. So I, rule of thumb, maybe start around the teaspoon area for your seasoning and go from there based upon your own preference. I've been cooking so long, I can kind of tell, oddly
How
enough.
about this? All the extra marinade, but the garlic and can I can just
So I do agree. You'll hear different schools of thought with marinade. It has been sitting with raw meat in it.
right.
So if you choose to use it, I'm actually going to tell you not to use it. If you choose to boil it down till you hit over 165 when you stick the thermometer in it.
Okay, so don't like dump it in a stir fry, boil it,
Oh,
basically cook it and make a sauce, and then you could use that sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want it to nearly boil. Otherwise, you run the risk of having bacteria in it that'll make you sick because it's been
Yep.
sitting with raw meat in it. Especially chicken, like chicken and turkey, poultry, I'd toss it. I wouldn't even take that risk.
Good old salmonella.
I've been using olive oil. You can use butter. You can use bacon grease if you want. I have some garlic infused ghee here. I'm going to throw in here because it still needs some more fat in it. I didn't have enough olive oil in it.
Yeah, I love
When it starts to stick, then I know it's not got enough fat in it.
ghee. I just like the concentrate. I think part of it is you just tend to use less, and so I don't know. It just to get that same
Now we're
flavor,
going to use
as much fat.
I'm going to start with a couple of ears of corn. This looks pretty good. I'm going to pull these last little bits of charred silk off. That's the one thing that Chili hates most about corn is when the silks get stuck in his teeth. How are we on time, by the way? I don't know what time it is.
Almost 2. Yeah, we're at about 52
We might
minutes.
riddle.
Yeah.
You don't need anything fancy to cut corn off. You just don't. If you want to make it stand a little bit straighter, cut the very end off, stand it up, and start. Okay, I might have lied. I'm going to do this over the.
I was about to say, it's like,
I tend to cut the corn in half because when I start doing the whole one, the kernels go everywhere. So
Everywhere,
when I cut it in half,
those are flying.
it's the right
I don't
height.
usually have that problem. I cut close enough to the.
But I don't know because I usually do a lot of corn and freeze it for
Yeah.
making stuff in the winter, and so
There we go. So right into the pan that one goes.
all right. I haven't put any spices in here yet. Let me get.
And I didn't put any extra salt in this. I had salt in 2 of the seasonings, so. Be mindful of salt if you need to be. If you don't need to be, use it until your ancestors tell you to stop. All right, there's that one.
Now,
There's
one thing I make a mistake a lot is I'll sprinkle the spice right over the thing, and then it steams the hole shut, or makes So a good habit is, just get a spoon, and especially these big ones, they actually have a hole where you can put a spoon in.
Yep.
I always forget. I go to shake it, and then I'm like, oh, I remember that time when you couldn't.
makes it cake.
Yes.
Or it makes like this one's got, chunks.
Oh, yeah.
Or you have to
All right.
break up the chunks.
And it's okay. I'm kind of getting down into the milky part of the corn cob. Go for it because it's just going to give you a little bit more juice. And those of you who are really adventurous, you can make jelly out of the corn cobs.
Oh, I've had that one time someone made some corn jelly. Oh, I've never made it myself, but
I have a girlfriend who makes it, so I don't worry about making it, but it is delicious. I will tell you that much.
tell her I want her to be my girlfriend too.
All right, I'm going to stir this. So this is basically done. You can do a couple of things here. You want the cheese in it to make it the calabasitas, but you can use shredded queso. You can crumble queso. You can do queso dip if you happen to have a tub of it in the fridge like we do. However, if you like cheesy, lay it on. If you like it a little bit less cheesy, pull back on it. All right, so I have this on back on low, because we're going to just sprinkle this over the top. And we're going to let it melt into our vegetables on its own. You don't need to stir it, just let it do its thing. And we're going to put this back in the fridge because it's kind of warm.
Want to cover it?
Yep. So if we want that to melt faster, we want to cover it. And then we're going to look at our after we take a drink, because these are really good. If you like margaritas, give this one a try, because wow.
I like that jalapeno. I mean, it's not super spicy,
No, it's not.
but it's more like a smell than a taste to me.
Exactly.
Yep, I like that.
All right. Wooden cutting boards are great. Kind of another tip for you. Don't cut raw meat on them or raw seafood because they're porous and they're hard to clean. Vegetables, cooked or raw, you're fine. Get it clean off. You won't have any issues. Thank you. I'm actually going to use a cutting mat because I don't want to cook. Thank you. Why we did that. Okay. So nope, I'll move it. You're fine.
I don't know about you, but I always try to make sure I put a cloth under my cutting board because it always seems to move on me.
Yeah, so they don't move. Here, I'll show you what I actually do on my wooden one. I can't set that down now because it's on a, thank you, the plastic board. This is actually a like a mat that you would put underneath a small appliance on your counter to move it back and forth, but it sticks. So I just use that and it's felt on top. When you work in restaurants, you actually get told not to use the towels underneath the cutting boards. The health department to get you because they're bacteria magnets. All right, so I have a little bit of that juice, not much, a little bit. So guess where it's going? We're gonna pour it down the side though, but just a little bit. All right, here's our steak.
So you said either cut it on an angle.
And remember, I told you to check where that grain is. So it's going straight across, which makes this a little bit difficult. Actually,
Kind of go at an angle is what I do.
yeah, I'm going to cut it though and kind of do this. So what you want to do, you really want to kind of cut this way, but we're going to cut at an angle so we're not having these long pieces of meat. But we're still getting, cut that tip off so Chili can take a bite.
That's what I was hoping for.
There you go.
Thank you.
So when you do that, you can see the grain is kind of going this way. So when you start to pull, it's not going to like pull and fall apart, but when you take a bite, it's going to come apart easily in your mouth. How's that?
Delicious.
Okay. I'm looking at my finger, sorry.
Yeah, my first piece I cut, I tasted. It's like,
Yeah. How did yours taste, Art?
it tastes phenomenal.
Oh,
It just was falling apart, isn't it?
my husband bought me a new carving knife for our anniversary. I like it a lot. Let's see here, you can kind of see it's coming apart a little bit there.
That is
I
so
actually
tender.
like the charred. This is a charred edge. That's my favorite part of the skirt steak. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Soldier.
I'm surprised as much cilantro as I put on there that doesn't have much of a cilantro taste.
No.
I don't really like cilantro too much. I'm not like allergic to it, but I don't know. It's just
There's a genetic thing. It tastes like soap to me. So I just.
oh, okay.
It
For
doesn't
you,
taste like soap to me. So, I mean, they're very clearly a genetic component that I'm missing or Chili is missing. I haven't decided which.
Yeah. It just tastes soapy.
All right, so this one is a little bit more up and down on the grain. So the grain is going this way. So we're going to kind of cut this way. And you want, kind of long strips because if you want tacos or something like that, cut these thin.
Unless you have those cute little street taco ones, you want to have it the size of
Yeah,
your.
in which case, cut them in half again. I've been known to cube this, like the next day I'll cube it and I'll throw it in scrambled eggs
Or salad.
or more tacos.
Mhm.
If you've got tortillas, you can warm them on the grill. They'll be a little crunchy at that point. Flour tortillas. Come on, there we go. If you have corn tortillas, I actually like to lightly fry them in the skillet. Then
Well, what
they
I
don't
tend
fall
to do
apart.
is I tend to make like a frittata for breakfast regularly. And what I'll
Oh
do with
yeah.
my corn tortillas is I just lay them on the lid like this.
Oh yeah. So it's yep.
And if you just put two of them like in a stack, it just perfectly warms them.
That's a really good idea.
But yeah, I'll do like a veggie stir fry and then pop a couple eggs on it and then shut it off and then let it cool down, go brush my hair and get ready for the day and then come back and eat it.
So there we are. That's dinner. Now, I made plenty of the vegetables. So, or what you're talking about, the vegetables would go really well in the next day too.
Oh, yeah.
So all of this inside an omelet or a frittata would be absolutely delicious, scrumptious. And give you kind of that, little hit of some spice in the morning when you are trying to wake up. That'd be a good thing. And if you really, I'll give you another tip. If you really like coffee, this is a spice company called Gustus Vita. They make a spicy chocolate cinnamon cane sugar spice. And you can see I'm almost out of that one. I've got a spare, I promise. I put this in my coffee almost every morning. And
I
that
thought you were
cinnamon,
talk about where you
yeah.
do the coffee crusted steak.
No, we're not doing that.
well, we might. That would be delicious. So there's also like a cayenne chocolate spice that is good in coffee. So even your coffee can have a little bit of a hit to it. But there we are. So you can eat it just like this. You can put it in tortillas, whatever you want to do.
I'm gonna have a tortilla. And any questions? It's like I'm just
So good.
sorry, I'm distracted here. I'm eating.
No, you're fine.
It's like, but there we go. Little taco. Oop. I didn't let the tortilla warm up enough. It broke in half.
Chili used this, the tagine on the what are we drinking? Margaritas. This also would be really good in the vegetables. So again, however you want to get to that Tex-Mex, and this is a little bit closer to an authentic Mexican dish, but I say Tex-Mex because I almost never hold to a true Mexican recipe when I cook. So we'll say can we say Midwest mix? I don't know. But however you want to get to that flavor profile with what you have on hand is a good thing.
All right.
Oh.
I'm going to be a little sacrilegious and say I just traveled around Europe and I took a little traveling thing of tagine just in case, because the food tends to be a little more on the bland side. But then I actually wanted to experience the food, and I actually didn't end up using it very much because even though it was bland, they use like fresh potatoes and they use, it was just fresh ingredients. So even though it wasn't a lot of spice, it had a lot of flavor. So
yeah, and I think that's when you start teaching yourself how to cook and you cook from scratch, when you start learning what those aromatics are, onions, peppers, garlic, you know, certainly in that onion family. You can add flavor without adding a lot of salt. Salt is good in some applications, but you don't need a lot of it. And unless you just want a specific flavor profile from a specific part of the world, you know, you can get by with a very limited number of spices in your pantry cabinet. Unless you're me.
Yeah.
Then you have a pantry upstairs and downstairs because you have so much.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you like to cook. So
Yeah, I came across a soup that was like, it's like 3 ingredients, caraway soup. It looks like a thick, basically like if you made chicken soup, like that thick broth, like the clear chicken soup, but it's like 3 ingredients. And it's like 3 tablespoons of spices. I mean, it's just, so I'm gonna do that on the cooking show. I was planning to do
That
it last
sounds
Sunday,
delicious.
but I was on a boat in the
Yeah.
middle of the Mediterranean without any internet. Just
yeah, I think I'd rather you have been on the boat
Yeah.
headed home.
Yeah.
For sure.
so good deal.
Um,
Thank you
yeah,
so
we're
much.
done.
Any final words? Any final questions? All right.
Well, thanks for having us. I'm glad we kind of did the back-to-back thing. So it'd be fun to have you over tomorrow night.
Will do.
So yeah, if you want to join and see all of us again tomorrow night at 6:30, we're doing burgers a couple of different ways, and what we decide, potato salad tomorrow night. So kind of that traditional, you know, Midwest.
Ooh,
And a
we're gonna have
cherry
a
bourbon
debate on
chef.
what's potato salad because there's about 150 different
There's
recipes.
150. So I was gonna do. I grew up kind of on two versions: the mayonnaise mustard, kind of all American, and then my grandma did German potato salad, what we in the U.S. call German potato salad.
And I grew up on olive oil and like Italian seasoning.
Yeah. So we picked something up at farmer's market yesterday called fire cider from Glacier's End, or you might be familiar, that has a lot of warm spices to it. So I think we're going to do a little bit more of the vinaigrette style potato salad tomorrow, and do something a little bit unique and not quite so traditional. So.
All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. Thanks. Good to see everybody.
Feeding others is love.